start the recording now. Great. So welcome everyone to today's session on the AIO internship postings. So we'll mostly go through how to apply for the postings, and I'll give you all the information. As I was mentioning, feel free to write your questions in the chat and we'll get to them towards the end of the session. I'm here today with my coworkers, Joel and Rosemary, who also work at the office and are both past interns as well, like myself. So we are here to answer all of your questions regarding the Arts Internship Office posting. All right, so let's get started. So for those of you who are newer to the AIO, so that's the acronym for Arts Internship Office, we offer different kinds of opportunities. So the most obvious one being internships, but we also offer funding opportunities, training, and mentorship. So today's session will focus more on the internship postings. However, I'll be mentioning all the other events and info sessions we have coming up, where you'll be able to learn more about all of these other resources. So here I always like to show our little timeline. So the January to March period is really the time to prepare applications. I'll be mentioning all of the deadlines, but we do have them quite earlier in the year for summer internships. Since the summer starts in May, things go really quickly, and students get to, you're really busy around finals. So again, now is really the key time to get all these resources, prepare your applications if you're interested in having an internship this summer. So in terms of internship opportunities, today we'll talk about the partnerships that we have at the office and how to apply for these opportunities. I always like to include the definition of an internship, just to obviously would be more relevant for you looking for your own internship. Since we have our pre-existing partnerships, we make sure that those are good internships. But it's really an experiential learning opportunity that includes learning objectives, training, and supervision and mentorship. So you're not expected to go into your internship already knowing everything. You're there to be a learner, and it's not a mandatory part of your studies. So again, if the internship journey is not in your cards for this summer, that's totally okay. But it's great for you to know about these resources and obviously to make the most out of the resources that we offer. And it's important to differentiate, an internship from a part-time job. Again, the difference being the supervision and learning objectives that you have from your experience and the mentorship from a supervisor. And we always warn as well about volunteerism and fee-based organizations, but that's again more explained in the how to find your own internship info session. So there's three main types of internships at the office, as I've already been referring to. So today we're going to focus on the first one, the AIO postings. And then the other two, we're going to have separate info sessions for each. So the second one would be our ARIA internship awards. Actually, for this one, we've already had the info session, so you can already find it on the website. And then for finding your own internship, we're going to have another info session later in the month. I believe it is on the 28th, but I will have the exact information later in the session. So getting right into it, I should have had maybe a little slide on presenting our postings, but just to introduce them from the slides, I will maybe show you directly the website, since it is an important part of the internship search. So our website, you just have to type Faculty of Arts Internship Office, and then in the internship section, that's where you'll be able to find all of the postings. So as you can see here, the postings are partnerships that we have with host organizations, and it allows to have a secured spot for McGill Faculty of Arts intern every summer in these positions. So again, the deadline I'll be mentioning throughout the session is February 9th. And you can see on the left here all of the different categories. So I won't go through each of them specifically. I really invite you to go through the website, since we have quite a few partnerships. But for each organization, again, we try to categorize them in these different categories to go with your interest. A lot of them may have some overlap. So I also invite you to really go through all of them to see if there's anything that could be of interest to you. So for example, the Center for Democratic Development in Ghana. So for each posting, there will be a little blurb, some links to the last year's interns and this graphic. And then the main important part is this button, which is the PDF with all of the details for the internship. So we are in the process of uploading all of them. Again, by the end of the week, they should all be uploaded. And so you will see for summer 2025. And then for each of them, you want to make sure to really read thoroughly because there is a lot of overlap in terms of requirements, but there are also very unique requirements for each of them. For example, location, I will also explain that, but for some of the postings, you will have to indicate in your cover letter if you would like to apply for it in person or remote, or sometimes hybrid or remote. They all include a description of the host organization, interns' duties and responsibilities, as well as host requirements. So this section is very important because that really defines what internships, for some of them, they will have language requirements, others more of a skill-based requirement. They also indicate hours. So we have full-time internships, but also part-time internships. So that's very based on your availability for the summer as well. And the dates. So the overall dates are May to July, May 5th to July 18th. But there is a lot of different dates also based on each posting. It also indicates the remuneration. So there is an award that comes with each of these postings. So if you are selected for the posting, you automatically receive that amount and you do not have to apply for it separately. Again, I'll mention it. You will be becoming an award recipient. You can also apply for awards if you find your own internship and then apply for awards. But again, that would be a separate info session that we have in February. Also important to mention that there is additional funding available if you meet the need-based criteria set by the Scholarship and Student Aid Office. So once again, if you do get selected for this internship, you would be able to apply through the Scholarship and Student Aid Office for these AIO bursary if you meet the need-based criteria. So that could be additionally to the fixed award that is already set. There is some details about costs and responsibilities. So these are similar for each of the posting. In terms of travel requirements, again, I will get back to my slides in more detail, but if you are applying for an internship that is outside of Canada, so for example, if you are applying for CDD Ghana and you are selecting to apply for the internship posting in person, then you would need to complete the pre-departure orientation. I will just show you the website while I'm here. So you can click on this website and take note of the cycle of registration. It has closed for January, but you still have time to register for it on February 3rd before our deadline of February 9th. And then you just have to complete the orientation before February 9th and download the certificate of completion. And then you will be able to upload the certificate of completion to apply for the posting. Again, I will get back to it in my slides, but in terms of eligibility criteria, so these are the ones set by our office and they're similar for all postings. So they are open to full-time faculty of our students in these listed programs with a minimum GPA, returning in the same program in the fall. Again, I'll get into more details in my slides, but you can always go back to it in each of the postings. I will show you also how to apply, the application deadline and selection timeline. So again, each posting is going to look like this. Again, arts and culture, there's quite a few, so you can go through each of them. Again, some of them are in the process of being updated. But as you see, each of them have different details. So once again, the main advice I can give you for now is to go through the website very carefully and to read through all of these postings. So just to give you a few examples, so we do have some postings with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. We have a partnership with a publishing company, some participatory research cultures lab, as well as a few human rights development and education organizations. So there's quite a wide selection of organizations that we partner with. So that's an introduction to the posting. So now we'll get into more of the details on how to apply. So as I was mentioning, it's good to first read through all of the different categories and carefully read the detailed PDF posting and the requirements. As I mentioned, there is a link to the last year's intern story, as we call them, so you can read their reports, see some pictures of the internship, and make sure that's something that is of interest to you. Important to note that you can only apply to 3 postings maximum, and you have to choose the ranking. We'll take into consideration the ranking. We are aware that, as a student, you would like to apply to as many postings as possible to maximize your chances, but really in the case of our office, we really prioritize, quality over quantity. So each of the applications have to be targeted, and I really encourage you to find, again, up to 3 of the organizations that you really are passionate about, and really putting in resources to really do research about it. It's a unique occasion with our partnerships that you get to talk to the past interns, because usually if you're applying for a job, you don't get to talk to necessarily past employees. But again, in our case, we really want students to, really make sure that it's a good fit, do a good match, and that's the best way to make sure that your application will be competitive. So the worst thing you can do is really have, not to be like that, but AI generated random templates and just copy pasted 3 times. That will probably not be a competitive application. That would not be a competitive application. However, if you take the time to really look into the organization, talk to past interns, again, there's a few ways to do that. You can read their stories. You can send us an email to ask to be put in touch. And I'll mention a few events as well that we're going to have. And lots of occasions, again, to talk to past interns. And also, so to my next point, to come and talk to our advisors, like myself and Rosemary and Joel, who are here in the call. I'll also share the resources for our drop-in hours. But it's important to ask questions. Again, we'll be able to help you prepare your applications. Again, we don't review CV and cover letters, but if you have questions about the organization itself, and again, the best thing to do is really to be in touch with the past intern, because we haven't done the internships ourselves. I have done the ICTAS internship, but other than that, I haven't done the other ones. So important as well that all the questions you have should be addressed to our office and not to the host organizations. Again, the point of the partnership is that we help the organizations with the selection and application process. So it's important to have all the questions go through us. Again, we do not review individual applications. However, if you do have questions about the organization more broadly, or if you want to be put in touch, you should definitely address your questions to us. And I will give you more resources on how to start preparing the material for your application. So everything, again, is detailed on the website, but there are some extra resources in terms of CV and cover letter preparation that I will share with you as well. As I have already mentioned, and I will mention a few times, if you plan on applying for one of the internship posting outside of Canada, make sure to fill the pre-departure orientation because it has to be done before you apply. And as I've already mentioned, the deadline for the application is February 9th, 2025. Now the main eligibility criteria that are listed on the posting. You have to be currently enrolled as a McGill Faculty of Arts student, so it's only for Faculty of Arts. However, arts does include a few programs, so arts and science, a Bachelor of Social Work. I keep forgetting what the TH1 stands for. I believe it's Religious Studies, Master of Arts, Master of Social Work, and Master of Information Studies. So if you are in any of these programs, you would be eligible to apply. However, you have to be returning to McGill in the same program in the fall semester following the internship. So unfortunately, if you are graduating this semester, you would not be eligible to apply for the posting. However, if you're graduating, I'll be talking about the career planning services, and they have a lot of resources and even fellowships and internships that are only for graduating students. So I really invite you to go to them. But our office is specifically for students who are returning full-time to McGill in the same program in the fall semester. In terms of GPA requirements, we often get the question of if it's, make or break. So there is a minimum GPA of 2.7. If you have a GPA that is under 2.7, again, we always include a statement saying that you can add an explanation at the end of your application to explain if something major happened that impacted your studies. But again, the thinking behind that minimum GPA is just to make sure that your academics are in good standing, because as much as we are the internship office, again, internships are not mandatory. They're an optional part of your path at McGill, and we want to make sure that your academics are in good shape before you go into this internship. Maybe it would be better to do a summer class instead. So again, it's a bit more of just a red flag to make sure that the student is doing well enough, to sustain the internship. However, there is some flexibility there, so feel free to include that in your application. You don't necessarily need, to include any personal documents for confidentiality. However, you can include comments towards the end of the application form. So what to prepare? Again, this is all listed on the website. Personal academic information. So again, we don't break it all down, but it's your name, your last name. These are all things that you know by heart, your major, what year you in, etc. In terms of unofficial transcripts, so you don't have to, it's not the official one. It's not something you have to pay for or to order. It's really just going on Minerva and then doing print and save as PDF. Again, there are some detailed instructions on the website on how to do that. Confirm that you meet all the eligibility criteria. So again, all the ones I listed before. And it's good also to review each of the postings to make sure that you meet the eligibility criteria for each of them. Very big important part, as I mentioned already with the quality over quantity, is to have a targeted CV and cover letter for each internship you're applying for. An important technical aspect is that for each of the internship, for example, you're applying for CDD Ghana, you have to merge your CV and cover letter in one PDF to upload it to the form. And then you have to, if you're applying to 3 different ones, you have to merge the CV and cover letter in one PDF for each of them. Right. Recovering from a cold, from like a lot of us. Pre-departure orientation, certificate of completion. So again, making sure to include that if you're, it's only for internships outside of Canada. So if you're only applying for internships in Canada, you do not need to include that. And then familiarize yourself with the requirements listed in the handbook. So these are all clickable. They will be shared also at the end. So if you go on our website under for students, you can always find the handbook. For now, it's the handbook from last summer. We're still in process to update it for next summer. However, a lot of the information will be the same. It's just the dates, etc., for events for the most part that will be different. So I already invite you to read through the handbook just to have an idea of what the requirements would be. So there are some mandatory events. If you are selected for the internship, you become an award recipient. There's the all interns meeting. There's an awards reception, explanation on how to make sure you receive the funding, some documents to submit, and just a lot of information, especially for travel. And then you also have access to trainings and workshops throughout the summer, some check-ins with us to make sure your internship is going well, some social media submissions, some resources. Again, I'm skipping through because I'm not going to read through all of that, but again, it is not updated for 2025 yet. It will be soon, but I already invite you to look through it. And there is a report to write also. There is, again, mandatory events at the end and a report to write. It's only 500 words, and it's just a summary of your internship. But since our awards are funded through donations, we want to make sure to also send reports to the donors about how your internship went. And then finally, in your application, you need to give us consent to share the application materials with the host organization. So as I mentioned, the handbook. So again, this is the one for 2024 that is on the website. However, I invite you to read through it. And again, we're hoping to have it updated by in the next few weeks. Again, for traveling interns, so you want to make sure to have your pre-departure orientation done beforehand. If you already have it, I'll get into the next slide. I'll just mention also the travel registry. So you don't necessarily have to include it in your application because that's something you do just before leaving once you have your activity confirmed. However, the travel registry is an application that you'll download on your phone, and you will put all of your safety, your contact information so that the safety abroad officers can reach you during your internship abroad. For the pre-departure orientation, however, that's something you should look into now if you are going abroad. It should be done 3 to 6 months prior to departure, and it's not binding. So even if you end up not traveling, that's okay. That's not something you have to do only if it's confirmed. That's really something you do in preparation, as it's called. And it's all done through the Safety Abroad office. So just make sure if you have any questions about how to get your certificate, etc., to write to Safety Abroad at McGill.ca and not to our office, because unfortunately we do not have access to that. However, the Safety Abroad officers can help you. Yes, so all of the applications will require that if you're applying for international internship. As you can see, the cycle for January just closed. However, you can, if you haven't done it already, you can mark your calendar to sign up between February 3rd and before the 10th, since our applications are due on the 9th. And then once you are registered, it will show up on My Courses, and you can do it on your own time. It takes, I haven't done it myself, but apparently it takes around an hour to complete. So again, you can do it on your own time, and then at the end, you want to make sure to download the certificate of completion. So again, how to navigate our website. I showed you a little earlier. I will get back to it right after. So internship location. There are 3 types of internship locations that are indicated on your postings. So the first one is the more straightforward. It's in person. Again, we'll indicate the city, and we say if it's in person, that means you are going on site at the office location. And again, if it's abroad, that means you are traveling and you will be on site. Hybrid, obviously, that is a newer development since the pandemic. There is a lot more work from home and just flexibility around that. But that means that you will have to go into the office for a number of days, but there is possibility to work remotely for certain days. Or again, part of the internship could be done remotely. So again, that will be specified on the posting. And then remote means that it is completely remote. You will not be going to the office location. You will not be traveling to or for the internship. So it's important to note also there's no conferences or any work-related events. You are doing it completely 100% remote. Again, for some of the positions, the organizations have asked that the student can choose whether they want to be in person, for example, or a hybrid or remote, meaning do you have to travel to the office location or can you do it completely from somewhere else? But that's only for the ones where it's indicated. So that's not for any internship. Again, it will be specified in the location section. And it will be specified that you have to indicate in your cover letter very clearly if you're applying for in-person or remote. And again, if it's in person outside of Canada, make sure to include your pre-departure orientation. Again, if there's any questions about that, I think I can see the questions coming in through the chat. I will get to them at the end to make sure there's no question. Application timeline. So again, the form, we're still in a process of updating it because we had an earlier deadline, and we're still in process of receiving the postings from the organization. So the form itself is not open yet. But there is no rush to send your applications because we don't start reviewing applications until after the deadline. So there's no need to submit it. If you send it earlier, it does not mean you'll have a better chance of getting selected, since they all get approved and reviewed, after the deadline. So again, we'll give you there are things you can do now to start preparing your applications, but don't worry too much about the form just yet. Again, and everything in the form is really on the website. I'll show you what the form looks like. It's just a web form in Microsoft Forms. And also in terms of when to apply, obviously the deadline is on a Sunday because we want to give you the weekend, if to the last weekend to apply. However, we are closed on the weekend, so I do recommend sending it during the few days before the weekend, in case any technical issues, because we won't be able to answer during the weekend. And so if you can submit it in advance, because we will not be responding to emails during the weekend. So once we've received the applications, we do a first round of selection, and certain students will be selected for a first round of interviews, usually with our office first, and then we transmit the selected applicants to the host organization, and they are the ones who make the final decision. So students will be received, students who do not receive offers will be notified on a rolling basis as decisions are made. So again, students who do receive interviews will be notified first. However, you might not get, again, the official rejection right away because, again, until the selection process is done, sometimes there's some wiggle room in terms of we don't want to send a rejection and then say, oh, actually, never mind, if a position opens up. So again, the timeline is a little flexible since there's a lot of steps to it. It goes first through our office and then through the host organization. So after the deadline, again, we did include a bit of a timeline here. Our office first reviews applications and conducts interviews, and then between February to late March, to early March, sorry. And then in March, the host reviews the applications and makes their decision. Again, that timeline can look very different based on the host organization because they have their own, priorities as well. So we do give them a few weeks to make their decision. However, everyone should have the answer by April, which is when the responsibilities are due for award recipients. Once you do receive an offer, we do give you 3 days to make a decision. So again, that's the best we can accommodate. If you are waiting for other decisions, unfortunately, you would only have that timeline to make the decision, just so that if you cannot make it, we have time to turn around and offer the position to someone else. Hopefully that was clear. Let me know if there's any questions. Alongside just of here and there important reminders. So reminder that you have to rank your choices from 1 to 3. We do consider the ranking. So again, if you put one position first, you'll be considered in priority for that position. However, you are considered for all 3, but again, everyone who put that position as first will have priority. Early applications. So again, I did not mention them in this info session, not to create confusion. We did have 4 positions that had an earlier deadline of January 12th because they require either a longer process of selection, so security process, security clearance, etc. We do have other positions who do require security clearance in the second round, in the February deadline. However, again, there's just a lot more paperwork for those positions in Vienna and Panama. So they had an earlier deadline. And again, it was indicated on the website, but students who have applied for the earlier deadline can still apply for 3 postings for the second deadline. However, they might not have the final answer from the host just yet. To get your CV and cover letter reviewed before applying, so I will share the resources of where to go on campus. So our office does not do CV cover letter review. However, we work very closely with the career planning services. Apologies. So I really encourage you to go to these advisors and before submitting too quickly, just to get them reviewed. As I mentioned earlier, do not copy paste the same letter for all 3 positions because that is an automatic no. And adapt it to the duties and requirements from the posting PDF. So again, a big word of advice is really to reuse all the wording from the posting, and especially when it comes to requirements. For example, if it says you need to speak Spanish, make sure that on your CV it's very clear your level of Spanish, and you can include it in your cover letter as well. The applications can be sent in French or English. Unfortunately, we do not speak Spanish. I do not speak Spanish, so again, French or English can be submitted in either. The pre-departure orientation has to be done before applying, and you upload your certificate of completion. Make sure your CV and cover letter are merged in one PDF. Again, you will not be considered if one or the other is missing. As I already mentioned, highlight if you meet specific requirements. Some of them also have a citizenship requirement. There's a few that are either only for Canadian or US citizens. So make sure to include that in your cover letter. Again, you don't have to show us your passport because that's confidential, but just to include it in your cover letter very clearly. Make sure to review whether the dates, the number of weeks, and the number of hours on the posting, because if you're not available for that time period, that could also affect your eligibility. And I got ahead of myself, so applications can be in French or English, and especially for an internship that requires French, it is recommended to send the letter in French. That way it is a way for us to check off that box. Applications are only reviewed after the deadline. So again, it's good to take the next couple of weeks to really work on your applications, and there's no need to rush sending it in earlier. Also, if you do not hear from us before the deadline, that is normal because we will only start reviewing them after the deadline. And all students will be notified. So obviously, it's a big job for us to make sure that the communication is clear after that. So, we continuously work on that to make sure that everyone gets clear communication. We know it's a stressful time for everybody involved. But we do, again, you will eventually get an update whether you were selected or if there is a rejection. So we are not the type of application where if you don't hear anything, that's a bad sign. Again, we just ask that you are a little patient with us while we go through application. So training opportunities. So as you can see on the map, even during in our bubble, apart from the info sessions, we're also going to have some events and workshops, as well as networking events. And then also throughout the summer, so there are also some mandatory events that I mentioned and some workshops offered to students. And all the way to September, so we are also, again, following you throughout your internship. And there is also a debriefing event, an annual event, and some workshops on how to really bridge your internship to what you will be doing next. So again, the benefits of our events and workshops. So for now, is really to understand what to expect from an internship with our info sessions, advising sessions, and networking events. There's also opportunities to connect with previous interns, especially with our mentorship network. So there won't be a second round of application for the mentorship itself. However, the events will be open to everyone if you would like to connect with past interns. And to start preparing your application, so we have some CV cover letter workshops and the career planning services resources that I mentioned. So firstly, the info session, again, we have some more specific info sessions per department. So we'll have one for IDS, LLC, and art history. And then in terms of application process or just internship search, we'll have one for how to find your own internship info session. Again, so these are all late January to early February. And then if you are finding your own internship and then you would like to apply for funding, you can come to the February 5th AIO Awards info session. Again, if you are applying for a posting, you do not need to apply for the awards separately. It is automatically coming with the posting. For our mentorship initiative, so we'll have some networking events next week from Monday to Friday. It's going to be some drop-in hours that we usually have, but just longer with more of the past interns. So again, we'll be posting the details for that in the upcoming days. To start preparing your application, so I really recommend coming to one of the workshops. So we have CV writing, cover letter writing, and preparing for an internship interview workshops. So these are all virtual workshops on Zoom. All of these are clickable links, and you can also find all of these on our website. These are offered by one of our external career advisor from the Yes Employment Entrepreneurship, who has years and years of experience in the field. And again, we'll be able to give you some tips on how to write a CV or write a cover letter. And feel free to it's now recorded, so it's a lot more of an interactive workshop where you can bring your questions and really start thinking about your CV and cover letter writing. And then same for the preparing for an internship interview. So that one is after the deadline. So again, if you would like to sign up for that and get ready for potentially getting selected for interviews. If you cannot make it to any of the workshop, or even if you do go to the workshops, something I highly, highly recommend is going to career planning services. So we are only doing internships in the Faculty of Arts. However, the career planning services is the main office on campus for every faculty, and it goes beyond just internships. It's also for job search, etc. So if you're not familiar with them, I really recommend looking up their resources. And so they have how-to guides. Again, if you've never written a CV or cover letter before, this is really the best place to start looking. So they have guides. We also have them printed at the office if you prefer that. And again, they give really good advice in terms of format, language, etc. In terms of format, I also really encourage you to just keep it simple, and you can even reuse the ones that are in those guides. Again, sometimes people want to get creative with it or get lost in the details, but from someone who has read a lot of applications, it's really great to keep it plain and simple. So again, if you're getting started, the guides are really great. However, if you want some more in-depth personalized advice, so again, even if you come to the workshop, you wrote a CV, you wrote a cover letter, I really, really encourage everyone to go to their drop-in hours. You can bring your draft and they will go through it with you and give you some personalized advice on your CV and your cover letter. And again, when we read applications, we can really tell when someone has, done that verification. Oh, I did not mean to do that. So they are located in the Brown Student Services building, which is on McTavish. So we're located in Leacock, and they're just kind of like across the street from us, so very convenient. And they have drop-in hours every day from 1:30 to 2:30. There's no appointments required. However, there's also a way to book appointments, but they can get busy, especially if it's closer to the deadline. There might not be appointments available for until after the deadline. So unless you book your appointment in advance, I really recommend just coming for the drop-in hours. And they're going to be really helpful to help you go through your resources. Again, if you cannot make it to drop-in hours, you can also send them an email or give them a call, and they are very helpful, and they will make sure to help you go through your CV and cover letter review. So once again, our office does not do CV cover letter review. However, CAPS in the Brown building does. So I really encourage you to go there. So water break. Events and training for selected interns. So again, if you do get selected for the internship, it's all listed in the handbook. But as I mentioned, you're getting training and workshops before, during, and after your internship. So before the internship, there is a first mandatory meeting where the whole cohort meets, and we kind of go through all the requirements for the summer and give you some advice. Before, there is also an awards reception. That's a lot more of a celebration for all of the award recipients. During the internship, we offer some workshops on how to make the most out of your internship, and and the intern positionality workshop, which gives you tools on how to navigate a new environment, whether you're traveling or staying in the city. Again, it's going to be it can be a culture shock, etc. So we give you some tools on how to adapt to the new situations. And then after the internship, there is a debriefing session with, again, all the cohorts, and a workshop on how to update your CV after the internship. And then we'll have our annual events. And if you'd like to share your internship experience, but again, that's projecting in the future, so don't worry about that yet. In terms of funding, so as I mentioned, if you are selected for the posting, you do not need to apply through the Faculty of Arts Internship Award. You will become an award recipient. However, you will get the amount that is listed on the posting. Again, the amount varies depending on each position, so make sure to look at that when you are applying. The awards are disbursed in 2 payments in June and July, so you do not get it at the time of selection. It's really payments that you get throughout the summer, and 2 payments, again, mid-June and mid-July. And the awards are designed to provide partial funding to offset the internship-related cost. So again, if you would like, I don't think I have a slide on it, but there are, again, the scholarship and student aid office bursaries that are available for students in need. So I really encourage you to look into that as well if you are selected. If you find your own internship, again, if you are doing a posting, you do not need to apply, but just so you are aware, we do recommend for students applying for postings to look for their internships on their own as well, to not put all your eggs in one basket kind of deal. And so if you are finding an internship and it's unpaid, then you could apply for the award separately after you are selected for the internship. But again, we'll have an info session just for that later on. The deadline for that is March 16th. So again, you have a bit more time if you are looking on your own. So yeah, just so you are aware. And then again, we also have some research internships just so that you are aware whether for the summer or for the future. It is a smaller cohort. It's a bit more competitive in terms of GPA requirements as it is an academic internship, but you get to work with a McGill professor on campus and you receive a $5,000 bursary to conduct your research internship. And this one is only for undergraduate students. It's meant to promote undergraduate research for, yes, students. And the deadline for that is February 23rd. Again, it has a separate info session. So just to summarize the key dates and deadlines, so the postings that we were talking about today are due on February 9th, 2025, which is a Sunday night. Again, all of the applications are closed at 11:59. So I do recommend sending it a little earlier than that, and especially since we're all closed on the weekend. And then the ARIA and awards are due February 23rd and March 16th. As I mentioned, we're closed on weekends, so make sure to send your questions. So for next steps, as I started with, make sure to read the postings and the stories on our website to get familiar with all of the postings, all of the opportunities available. You can come and network with past interns, especially during the AMI week. You can also come and talk to AIO advisors during our drop-in hours. Make sure to sign up for the CV and cover letter workshop and go to CAP to get it reviewed by the career advisors. And save the date for the pre-departure orientation registration if you are planning on applying to an internship outside of Canada. And finally, make sure to not miss the deadline for February 9th posting. So before I get to questions, I wanted to share, give the mic to my colleague Rosemary, who has also completed an internship posting last summer. So I'll let Rosemary kind of share her experience applying for the process.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a graduate student in the School of Information Studies. This is my second year, and this is my last year of the program. So last summer, I was really concentrated on trying to take advantage of my summer and a little bit intimidated because a lot of my peers had already had internships in the field, and I had no real experience in the field yet. So I kind of started on a really basic Google search and said archival internship Montreal, McGill, and the AIO was the first thing that came up. I ended up um, figuring out more about the process and some of the opportunities involved and applied through the office for one internship only. Because I felt really connected to it. And that was at Swanee, Pearl Popolo, which is a local experimental music festival. It's connected to the venues Casa del Popolo and La Sala Rosa in the Mile End. The festival happens at the end of June, and they were looking for an archival intern, someone to organize their collection of like posters and other ephemera as they approach their 25th anniversary this upcoming year. And then there was also another intern for like production elements. So it was a wonderful opportunity. I think definitely the most intimidating part was going through the application process because I hadn't really applied for anything in that field yet before. I kind of go by the philosophy, though, to let someone else say no to me before I say no to myself, if that makes sense. So I thought I'd give it a shot. Because I only applied to one, I feel like I was able to spend a lot of time on making sure my cover letter was like as good and unique as possible. I spent a lot of time on Swanee's website and like their archive page to learn about the organization and learn about past festivals. And it was new to me, but I feel like I was able to write in my cover letter as though it was not new to me, that I knew a lot about the organization and was able to present myself confidently. Would definitely recommend bringing cover letter and CV drafts to CAPS. I think that's huge. If you're applying for 3 different internships as well, trying to approach them all separately and creating unique perspectives and unique applications for each of them. But yeah, had a wonderful experience. I was really lucky to work with my host organization had 2 interns, so another McGill intern, which was wonderful. And I think having that one starter internship and being able to put it on my CV has helped me. I have another internship this semester, so just getting like that one foot in the door is so huge. I am an office assistant in AIO, so I'm here during office hours and for advising appointments. So if there's any more questions, please stop by. Happy to talk out any unique issues or problems.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. So I'll get back to the slides here. So again, amazing advice. And I think I'll get to your questions very quickly, very shortly, I mean, but again, very good advice to really personalize your cover letter. If you are selected as an intern, you will get the chance to then work with our office next year as an office assistant. We'll definitely be hiring some office assistants, and it's great because all of our staff is past interns. I've done an internship myself back in 2018, 2019. Rosemary has, and Joel has as well, was an award recipient. And so again, all of our resources, if you want to be in touch, as Rosemary mentioned, we have drop-in hours, again, the regular ones weekly, and you will get to come and talk to our staff who has been through the process themselves or through a similar process, or again, can help you just navigate the resources on our website. And so Monday and Wednesday, 2 to 3, and Tuesday, Thursday, 11 to 12. You can also, if you cannot make it to drop-in hours, you can always send us an email also at ao@mcgill.ca, and we respond very quickly. For drop-in hours, we're located in the Leacock building in the room 307. And then other ways to stay in touch, we also have a listserv and newsletter. So there are also sometimes opportunities that we only forward through listserv. So especially this time of the year, you want to make sure that you are registered for that to make sure you don't miss out on the opportunities. And we send a monthly newsletter also just to summarize everything coming up in the month. We also post a lot on social media on Facebook, which I don't think people really use anymore, but our Instagram is also up to date. And as I mentioned, again, email and drop-in hours are the best way to reach us. And all the events I mentioned are listed on our website. So maybe I'll go back to the website quickly just to show you, all of that. And then we will get to questions. Oh, okay. I don't have a link to the website. Let me just pull it up here. All right. So very quickly, this is the main page, then internship postings, as I mentioned, is here. All the information I mentioned today about all the advice and all the links are all on the main page of AIO postings. So make sure, I know it's a lot of information to read through, but again, this we just update every time we get a question that comes back a lot. We just have a very detailed website just to make sure that all the questions are answered. So as I mentioned, just read through the PDF, prepare your materials, go to CAP, do pre-departure if you need, talk to our advisors and talk to CAP's advisors. And then once you're ready to apply, the link is here. So again, it's not open yet, but I can give you just a little preview of what it looks like. We just want to make sure that all the information, where did it go? All the information is ready to go. So this is what it looks like. Again, it's Microsoft Forms. And so again, last name, first name, those are like the personal academic information, date of graduation, curricular eligibility. You cannot go through the whole form unless you're actually submitting the document. So that's why we have everything listed on the website, very detailed. So again, there won't be any surprises. Everything is covered on the website, but just so you know, and again, that's why yeah, we want to make sure the form is good to go before we publish it. But just so you can see through, this is what it looks like. So as I mentioned, make sure to merge your CV and cover letter into one document for each of the internships. Again, you don't have to apply to 3, as Rosemary mentioned. You can also just apply to 1. Obviously, it's always good to also apply to other things, not putting your eggs in on one basket kind of thing. And then confirm your availability. Again, there's a few things to confirm. So also to specify when it says here, consent for us to share, etc. There's nothing to upload. These are just like statements that you just click towards the end. So again, this is what it looks like. And then there's places to upload, for example, a very important information that I mentioned, forgot to mention earlier. It's also in your information, so my apologies. For the pre-departure orientation, if you are traveling to your country of citizenship, you do not need to do the pre-departure orientation. You can still do it. It doesn't hurt. However, it's not mandatory. It's the only exception to this rule. And so you just have to self-declare that you are traveling to your country of citizenship. Again, if you're applying to multiple places that are not your country of citizenship, just do the pre-departure. Again, once you have that certificate of completion, you are able to upload it whenever needed, and it's valid for 1 academic calendar year. So again, I recommend just doing the pre-departure. However, again, if you're a French student going to France, not that we have a posting in France, but you know what I mean. If you're going through country citizenship, you don't need to do creative hardship. So yes, my apologies. I meant to mention that earlier. So again, that's what the form looks like. However, everything is very detailed here. Um, all right, let me get to your questions because I'm running out of things to say, which is good because we're running out of time. All right, I will stop my share. Did I show? Yes, the drop-in hours. Okay, I had a little Q&A, but I will just get to questions first. All right, should the applications and cover letter be addressed to the internship office or to the host organization? So that's actually also written on the website. You can always just say Dear Selection Committee because again, there will be multiple steps to the application process and multiple people. So just indicate Dear Selection Committee for each of them. Again, I know that's something that's mentioned, on guides and everything. It's always good to target it, but in our case, since there is a multiple office committee, you can just say Dear Selection Committee. Are there different rounds in the application process? Should we expect an interview with the organization at one point? Yes, so there are multiple rounds and it can look different based on the host organization. So the first step is for us to do the first round of selection. Again, it depends on the organization whether they want to do the interview or not afterwards. So you will get that information from them as it goes, but it's really up to the host organization how they want to conduct their selection. One of the total number of students that apply, oh, sorry, I misread that. Out of the total number of students that apply to the AIO Summer Internships, how many are accepted for the 3 positions they apply for? And does only one student get a position or there can be multiple interns per position at the same time? Okay, let me get to the first part of the question. How many are accepted for the 3 positions they apply for? So you're only considered for one internship at a time. So again, out of the 3, we will see which one is the best match, and then we'll consider you for that one. Does only one student get a position, or there can be multiple interns? So you'll see per organization there might be multiple postings within the same organization. So that way but that will be one application for each. Again, for most of the posting, it's 1 or 2 interns. Again, there is some flexibility there. It's not necessarily advertised because it depends on how many people apply, what the organization wants and needs. But for the main part, it's 1 position per posting, if that makes sense. Hopefully that was the question. Let me know if I answered. Great. Rosemary, are there any workshops scheduled at McGill for writing cover letter CVs? Yes. So as I mentioned, we have some between now and the deadline. We have a few workshops scheduled. However, whether you can make it or whether you cannot make it, I really recommend also going to CAPS to get it reviewed. But yeah, all the CV cover letter workshops are out on the website. That was part of my commonly asked questions. Is it feasible for U0 students to receive internship offers, or are they typically limited for upper years? Again, there's such a wide variety of postings and requirements. It's good to come and talk to us just to know, have a good idea of like what level the position is if you cannot really tell from the postings. But again, just from reading requirements, again, some of them have language requirements or citizenship requirements, so it really reduces the pool of applicants and the pool of eligible applicants. So it's really hard for us to tell, just based on GPA or just based on year. Also, U0 can mean very different things, your life beforehand. So sorry, that's a vague answer, but the answer is yes, you should apply. Because again, the more you go to CAPS and the more you frame also whatever experience you do have, the more chances you will have. And as you can see, again, I will just maybe share my screen very quickly. Here we go on the website. Oh yeah, I was also going through the website here. So everything is here. These are the awards I was mentioning. ARIA, travel resources. You can also read through all of that if you want to travel. This is our mentorship. These are extra resources. All of the events to sign up for them, it is on here. story. So if you want to read from past interns, again, it's linked under the posting. But if you want to read also from students who found their own internship, you can read through the stories here. And then all the contact information, so the drop-in hours, our email, and the newsletter, how to sign up for it are here. Now for your question. So under funding, you can see also past award recipients. And so for each year, each cohort, you can see every single intern that we've had. And that is both the AIO posting and students who found their own internship. And just to show you proof that we've had U0s and U1s, if you do a search for U0s, again, you can see that we've had a few students. Simone is actually one of our staff as well now. So just to show you, it can also kind of show you what kind of internship students have done. But again, it's not an exact science. Like students can also, out of all these people, a lot of them actually found their own internship. So that is also something that you can do that is more again, guaranteed if you find your own internship, but it's definitely encouraged to apply for the postings as well. But again, the more research you do, the more you go to CAPS, and the more you can talk to your advisors, um, the more you'll have chances. And I also say often during the advising sessions, even if you don't end up getting it, I recommend applying anyways in your first year, or even if you, as Rosemary was beautifully saying, let someone else tell you, rather than say it to yourself, just also so that it doesn't seem as scary and overwhelming for the next year. That way you will have also gained some confidence in terms of applications, and also not to be discouraged by a rejection. Again, maybe you do not get an internship with us. That doesn't mean you can't keep looking other places, etc. But again, in terms of application process, even though there's multiple steps, our process is quite straightforward with just the CV and cover letter. So that can be a good practice as well, for you to apply. And again, the thing I was mentioning earlier is that you have the chance to talk to past interns, as Rosemary was saying, really immerse yourself and, with their resources, but also you get to talk to past interns, talk to us who have worked with past interns before. So again, it's a unique chance that you get to do all of that research before even applying. So hopefully that was convincing and answered your question. Is there any way we can get, oh, sorry, just before I move on from the U0, there is, for example, UNHCR Montreal specifically asked for students who have completed 2 years. So that would be the one of them where as a user you could not apply. So once again, just the importance of reading through the posting and checking the requirements. But other than that, yes, there are like quite an array of postings that could be really fit for a first year. All right, next question. Is there any way we can get the recording of today's info session so that we can review those information? Yes, absolutely. So it will be, okay, this is way too long, here on internships posting. So for now we have the one from last year. So I just left it here so that students can refer to it, but this was recorded today, so I will be uploading it right here on this page. So you'll be able to get back to it. Okay, the meeting is recorded. Perfect. When is AMI week? So you can find it under events here. So it is next week from Monday to Friday. Again, we haven't posted the schedule yet, but there will be again drop-in hours every day with some past interns, and we'll be posting who will be present. When you refer PDF, do you mean the post about a student who did the internship in the past, or is there another PDF about the listing in specific? So the PDF, again, if we go back to internship posting, so here the PDF is the link under is the link to the past interns report story. But the PDF itself is the button here, and it looks like this. So really like all the details about the internship. And then there's also a PDF of your application where you need to merge your CV and cover letter. But again, the PDF, the posting PDF is the one, this one. Hopefully that's good. Is there no PDF under his listing? Does that mean it's not available or will be posted later? So we are still in process of renewing. So again, it should say here, posting will be uploaded by the week of January 13th, which I know is this week, but I said the week of. So by the end of the week. Again, we are in touch with organizations, and unfortunately they are also really busy. So we are in touch with them and we're waiting for a few postings. But we are in process of uploading them as we receive them. So again, I do apologize for the delay because I know I want you guys to have enough time to review it before the deadline. But again, it's in process. So yes, again, feel free to check again, especially this week. Um, yeah, we have uploaded a lot of them today, and we will continue to upload them today and tomorrow. So continue to check if there's one of them that you are waiting to see. There's maybe like one or two organizations that are, again, I know will be a bit more delayed, so I'm hoping to get them by Friday. But yes, so if they're not there, again, otherwise they should all be here. For the most part, they should all be uploaded. If not, I should say by the end of the week. But again, most of them are just in the process of being uploaded. When you refer, okay, this is one I answered, no PDF. How long does it take until we get a response? So I mentioned earlier, again, it can really depend on for each posting. I gave, if I go back to my slide. Okay, that was complicated. But basically the deadline, we only review applications after the deadline, which is February 9th. And then our office will do a first round of application of interviews. So a first round of selection. So again, just the next few weeks after the deadline, I would say. It's harder to be more specific because I don't want to be specific and then for you to, people start to freak out if it's not by that exact deadline. So again, then we forward to the host, and that can also vary in terms of time. Some of them might answer right away, others might take a few weeks as well to do their selection. So again, I would say like a couple weeks after the application. Sometimes, again, the full process up until the final selection from the host, that could take until like March, mid-March, end of March. Yes, again, it's flexible, and we can be in touch at that point. But we try to send you, as I was saying, the update as soon as possible after the deadline. Again, if you applied before the deadline, you will not be receiving any updates before the deadline because we only consider applications and start reviewing after the deadline. All right, I said a lot of words in the last hour, and hopefully they made sense. Again, this was all recorded, so if you want to get back to it, I will not keep you too long, much longer. Okay, let me stop sharing. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming here today. Hopefully you are more enlightened about those things. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to come to the office or just send us an email at AIO. And I look forward to reading your applications. And have a good day.